breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Biunno.
We are less than 15 minutes away from a verdict being read in a Fairfax County, Virginia courtroom in the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard defamation trial, a highly anticipated jury decision. We have pre-verdict coverage coming your way here, everybody, live on WFLA Now. Hey there, folks. JB Biunno here with you, and we've got live courtroom video coming in just moments ago. Our feed became active, so let's just kind of take you over there first. Let's show you what's going on in the courtroom, and we're going to stay with this feed here for you live so that you can follow the activity inside this Virginia courtroom, where the jury is going to be filing in here at 3 o'clock Eastern time. That's 13 minutes from now, and a verdict will be read in the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard trial. This is day 3 of deliberations. It, of course, began last week on Friday. Of course, then it continued yesterday into Tuesday, and now this being day 3 of deliberations, the word came down around 1:30 that the jury had in fact reached a verdict, and the judge set a time for 3 o'clock Eastern for that verdict to be read. Joining us here live, everybody, on WFLA Now is trial attorney Bryant Camerano to give us his take on where this is going as we now actually watch. Let's watch here live, folks. This is Amber Heard filing back into the courtroom. No audio coming through at this moment, but this is a live picture of Amber Heard. Bryant, what do you make of the attention this trial has received?
Well, first of all, the trial was fascinating to watch just from a human perspective, to see how the other side lives, to see how the rich and the famous live. And I think the ultimate outlook is that they live no different than us, and perhaps worse than us, you know, with the drinking and the yelling and the screaming. I think that's what people found to be fascinating. And that's from just a human perspective. From a legal perspective, this place was all over this trial was all over the place. So I can go into the elements if you'd like, and I can tell you what my opinion is on the verdict.
Yeah, there's a lot, I mean, we're talking about 7 weeks of evidence being presented and testimony being heard, and I say heard, pun not intended. That's just going to happen repeatedly on this live stream. But Bryant, what do you make of the jobs? Before I get to your verdict prediction, what do you make of the jobs that each side did? As we're getting now, some of the courtroom audio is coming in. If we do get courtroom audio, folks, we will of course turn off our microphones and listen in. But Brian, what do you make of the jobs that these two sides, as far as the attorneys for Johnny Depp, the attorneys for Amber Heard, the job that they did? What do you make of it?
Well, I'll start with Ms. Heard's team. Heard's team, I think they did the best that they could. They really muddied the waters by showing a side of Johnny Depp that most of us, I don't think, knew existed. The nasty text messages that he sent, to Amber, vulgar messages, his drinking, his drug addiction. We've heard about it, but we never really saw it firsthand. And he admitted to it pretty much when he took the stand. So I think Ms. Heard did a great job of trying to show that there's some underlying truth to her statements. Remember, truth is her defense. When she wrote that article, that op-ed article, I don't think she named Depp by name, but I think it was implied that she was talking about Johnny Depp. And so by showing that he's not a perfect human being, I think that Ms. Heard's team did a great job of showing he is capable of committing the violence that she claimed. Now, what Johnny's team, Johnny Depp's team, did was to show that, the same way that she was recording him, those same recordings showed, her almost instigating, hit me, tell the world that you're a battered spouse. And so he would respond. And so, and then the photographs of her claiming, and this is not to minimize, domestic violence is a serious epidemic, but and I'm not trying to blame Ms. Heard, but her testimony didn't help the cause by claiming to be battered in one instance and then appearing on a talk show the next night with no visible injuries to corroborate her claim. So Johnny Depp's team did a great job of showing her inconsistencies, showing her own videos and using it against her. So both sides did a great job. Now the issue is, how's the jury going to absorb that? So obviously you've got the defamation, the libel, the written words, and then you got to show the causation. So remember, he was rejected from Disney with tens of millions of dollars in lost revenue. And I think he's lost other jobs. So the damages are there. The question is, was it her her op-ed that caused him to do that. And I think that's what the jury's going to be hung up on, because it wasn't until this trial that we connected the two. So, you know, unless Johnny Depp's team effectively connected, hey, that written article is what cost him that Disney job and perhaps other jobs, there's a good possibility the jury may not come back in Johnny Depp's favor. But I think he's shown enough of a connection that the timing was right. She opined what she said in her op-ed, and then after that, rumors started spreading. Now, and there's one other element, by the way, for celebrities, actual malice. If you've been following the Sarah Palin trial, she lost to the New York Times. I think it was not the New York Times. It was an op-ed about her. The judge dismissed it based on lack of actual malice. So I think that's the extra element here that the jury has to take into consideration, that because Johnny Depp is a celebrity, they have to show actual malice. And I think they've shown enough malice because, again, based on the recordings, the anger that she had towards Mr. Depp, that they may have shown that element. And that's really hard to show, that when you write something, that you're writing it with an evil intent, which is the malicious part, the malice part. So again, that's a heavy load for a jury to absorb. And no offense to the jurors, that's me talking after 27 years of experience, you know, and 3 years of law school, that I remember those elements. So imagine a jury who may not be as formally educated, for them to connect those dots. So I think Johnny Depp did a good job, and I think they showed the connection. The identity is the last thing that I wanted to talk about. In her op-ed, if I remember correctly, she did not specifically identify Johnny Depp. She said, hey, I'm a victim of domestic violence. This is how I survived it. And then later connected and said it was about Johnny. So in the end, I think that's something that the jury might be hung up on. But Johnny Depp came across as such a likable guy that, and they showed so many inconsistencies on her part, that my gut tells me that the jury's going to be in favor of Mr. Depp.
Brian Camerano, trial attorney here in the Tampa Bay area, joining us here live on WFLA Now. Let me explain, folks, for a second how this is going to work for these next 5 minutes. We're going to continue, of course, to talk about what is going to happen here as far as the verdict being read aloud in this Fairfax County, Virginia courtroom in the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard defamation trial. What we're then going to do after the verdict is read, we're going to have additional coverage. Now, let's make this clear. There's going to be a podium set up outside where we're going to hear from the attorneys on both sides, the victorious side, the losing side. Bryant knows it well. We have covered press conferences where he has been at post-trial press conferences. So there's a lot to come your way here, and we're going to stay here with you live on WFLA Now to bring you all of this as it transpires, the reaction, and of course, then the subsequent press conference that's going to happen after the verdict is read aloud. Additionally, you might be noticing here that Johnny Depp is not in the courtroom, not expected to be here for this moment. Amber Heard is here, but Johnny Depp, of course, appearing in the UK over this past holiday weekend. He is expected to miss and not be here for the verdict. Very curious to know how he's going to be informed of the verdict, whether or not he's watching a live stream somewhere, or whether he's going to be informed by text message or a phone call. But what's going to happen is we're going to start to take your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyBryant questions and comments in the aftermath of the verdict being read. Bryant, one more time before I get your definitive verdict here. As far as the verdict being read, this isn't a criminal trial. We're not going to hear the jury say guilty or not guilty, or even definitively rule in favor of one side or the other. We're going to hear a lot of numbers coming out here because of the fact that we have a $50 million number at stake. We have a $100 million countersuit at stake. What is it going to sound like when the verdict is actually read aloud?
Yeah, typically, I'm not familiar with the jurisdiction that this trial is taking place, but typically it's liable or not liable. And so if they find Amber Heard liable, then what then would follow is the monetary amount, the damage amount. If they find her not liable, that's where it ends. So that's typically how they run about it, you know, liable, not liable, and then they go into the damages. And so that's what I would expect. In this case, again, liability on her part, and then some monetary amount in terms of what the damages would be based on their estimation.
All right, Bryant, we're coming across here on the top of the hour, about 3.5 minutes away from the judge filing back into the courtroom, followed by the jury being allowed back into the courtroom from the deliberation room. What is your expectation for a verdict? What do you think is going to happen? How do you think the jury is going to find Depp versus Heard?
Yeah, like I said, I think that both sides did a great job. I think Mr. Depp came across as much more likable. They had jurors laughing. You know, I don't know if Ms. Heard had people laughing at her when she testified. You know, the problem with Ms. Heard's testimony was she seemed very well prepared, which is fine, but it didn't come across as natural. Jurors like natural. They want to see someone that's not prepared. And if you recall her testimony, she would look at the lawyer, listen to the question, and then answer by looking at the jurors. And it was like that every single time. Answer, question, question, answer, question, answer. And it almost seemed too rehearsed. And some jurors, there's these subtle body signs, body language that, believe it or not, turn jurors off. And then again, there's the inconsistencies, such as whether she pledged the money, donated the money. Why is it that she's claiming injuries on a Monday, but on a Tuesday, when she's photographed, the injuries are not there? Those are the inconsistencies I think the jurors are going to be focusing on when they determine whether or not she acted with actual malice. But liability and causation, again, the connection there to me. So even though I find that Mr. Depp is going to be victorious, I think, again, the jury, they've been deliberating for 3 days now, is the connection. Can they connect those dots between that written article and the fact that Disney and perhaps other production companies said, that's it, we're cutting you off, we're cutting all ties. Common sense tells us that could have been the beginning of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that was the causation of it. And so that's what's going to be interesting. So even though I find liability in favor of Mr. Depp, you never know with these jurors. They may not have been impressed with Mr. Depp as most of the audience was, and most of us were as we were watching it.
I want to remind folks that in addition to our verdict coverage in the aftermath, we're going to be reading your hashtag HeyJB comments out of the Facebook Live, YouTube Live comment section. We want to know what you think, but the most purest form of telling us what you think will be in the form of a one-click poll that we're going to publish in the comment section in the aftermath of the jury verdict being read. You'll be able to click on that link. No sign-up, no email required. It's a one-click simple poll, and you can tell us, do you agree with the jury's verdict, whatever that verdict is, and then we'll come back here live on our live stream, look at those results, and just kind of get the tenor from our audience as to whether or not they are in favor of the verdict coming your way from the 7-person jury in Fairfax County, Virginia. You can see that a lot of folks have now filed back into the courtroom. I don't know how many available seats there are anymore. You can see maybe a couple of seats there available in the back of the room. However, everyone now awaiting the judge coming back into the room, and then the jury will be allowed in. A verdict will be read aloud. You can see that Amber Heard is there on the left side of your screen. Right side of your screen, Johnny Depp not in attendance. Let's listen in live.
Please be seated, come on.
All right. I understand we have a verdict. All right, are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Just for everybody in the gallery, reminder that this is a court of law, and regardless of the verdict, I will not tolerate any outbursts whatsoever. Okay? Thank you. If I could have the attorneys approach for a moment.
They have now killed courtroom audio for a sidebar, the judge asking the attorneys for both sides to approach before the jury verdict being read aloud. We'll take you back out here now and listen in for the resuming of the courtroom audio.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. And for punitive damages, you can put a 0 there, or you can fill out that as well, but I need those lines filled out, okay? All right, so if I can have you retire back to the deliberation room and do that for me, okay? All right, so we'll be in recess till we hear back from them. Don't go too far, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right.
A shocking development here in the courtroom. As the verdict form was being delivered to the judge, they look and they see that the line for compensatory damages, punitive damages, that there isn't lines filled out, that they need to come up with a number value in those lines on the verdict form, and those lines were not filled out. Brian, I'm bringing you in here. What do you make of now there not being a definitive verdict yet? They have to go back to the deliberation room, and they're now going back into a break. What do you make of this?
The minute that the judge calls sidebar after being handed the verdict, in my experience, that identified a defect in the verdict form. That's happened to me countless times. Jurors forget to check off, for example, an enhancement on a criminal case. Robbery with a firearm. They said robbery, guilty of robbery, but they forgot to check off firearm or no firearm. So that right there, I knew there was a defect. And so as you pointed out, absolutely, now we know liability, but for some reason, the jury forgot to fill in the monetary amount. So I don't know if they felt that Mr. Depp was entitled to nothing, so it was more of a moral victory for Mr. Depp, or they just completely misread the instruction. You know, I mean, I have seen many cases and experienced many cases where they write in 0. Hey, you won, but you're entitled to 0, or even $1. You know, but so it remains to be seen what exactly happened here. But it's clear that they just overlooked that instruction. So, but it's clear that again, Ms. Heard was found to be liable. Now we'll see how much, to what extent, and was the damage.
Right. Now, as I understand it, you cannot fill out the form and write 0, given the rules and the instructions for the jury. As I understand it, you have to fill out $1 or $1 or higher from that point onward. Brian, what does this mean for which way the jury is seeing this? I mean, listen, as far as all the ways this 3 o'clock jury verdict being read could have gone, whether it was going to be, in favor of Johnny or whether it was going to be favor in Amber, I don't think anybody could have predicted blank sections of the verdict form being received. But who is this good news for exactly in your estimation?
That's a great question. It may be great news for Ms. Heard. Hey, you're liable. You should have written what you said, wrote what you wrote, or opined and someone else wrote for you, and then follow up with it. And so we're not going to reward Mr. Depp by giving him tens of millions of dollars. So it may be that their intention was to not give him any award, 0, but they should have at least written a dollar amount. So it may be good news, but again, it may be possible they just misread the verdict, the jury instructions. But it could be good news for Ms. Heard, and to the extent that they may say, we don't feel he's entitled to any damages, feeling that he's maybe already wealthy enough and he doesn't need the extra whatever amount he was suing for. It could mean that. We'll find out soon.
Yeah, so I'm part of my job, Bryant, and you know this from being on stream with us before, is to be a reflection of our comment section. And I have to just tell it like it is. Our comment section is dumbfounded that after nearly 2 months of sitting in court and understanding this verdict form and understanding what the instructions were, to not fill out certain sections of this form that were pretty clear cut. I mean, as far as the instructions of what they had to do, putting a number on these lines. I've seen the verdict form. There's clearly a space there where you have to fill out these 2 sections for damages, punitive and then compensatory. You have to fill out these sections for damages, and they hand this verdict with the entire world watching. I mean, I'm telling you, this has reached an international audience with everybody waiting to see what is in this envelope. The judge opens it up, and maybe thinking could it have been a joke or was it the wrong piece of paper that was put in the envelope? Because the amount of people that are in our comment section that are dumbfounded by this mistake, I think that they're just trying to grasp, did something go wrong? Was there a technicality that was hit here, or is there just something that was clearly misunderstood? Because it's not one person making the mistake, it's a 7-person jury all thinking that okay, here it is, here's the verdict, here it's returned to you, here you go, and it's clearly, it was filed back to the judge incorrectly.
It's my experience that it was a misreading of the instruction. That's been my experience. It's happened to me countless of times. They go back, oops, we didn't realize. But you could also read into it that their intention was 0. But again, I'm sure the jury instruction would have covered that, include some amount. The fact that they left it blank, maybe they misread the instruction, maybe they don't mean to give them any sort of recovery. You know, maybe they're again, in their mind, they're thinking Mr. Depp is financially sound, Ms. Amber Heard, you know, and that's the problem, is that it works both ways. You know, the internet's filled with the Amber Heard haters, and then you've got a few that are not Johnny Depp. So you have a few people that are hearing that Ms. Heard's role in Aquaman 2 may have been cut because of this. So they might feel sorry for her and say, this poor girl did donate the $7 million because maybe she needs it. So let's give a favor to Johnny Depp, give him a win, but let's not take money out of her pocket, because that poor girl is struggling, you know, to get a role or to keep a role. So it's possible they meant to say 0, you know, so that's a possibility. We're going to find out soon.
I'm really itching to hear from our commenters. If this is a $1 win for Johnny Depp, do they see that as a victory? Do they see, I'm gonna ask folks in our comment section across Facebook Live and YouTube Live to answer this question for me, and you can do so with either of the hashtags on your screen. I'll look for hashtag HeyJB or hashtag HeyBryant. But if it is in fact a $1 moral victory, if you will, for Johnny Depp's team, what do you make of that? Do you consider that a victory for Johnny? Is it about the money? Do you want there to be, you know, tens of millions of dollars awarded to one particular side? What do you, it takes about 30 seconds for those comments and people to type it into their phones, Bryant. So before we start to feature some of them, what do you think the answer is going to be? Is $1 a win in the public's view, the court of public opinion, is $1 a victory for the Johnny Depp team?
The answer is it is a moral victory, but the money's going to, the attorney's fees are going to they're going to come out of somebody's pocket. So Mr. Depp may have won $1 and he may have won the moral victory, but that team of lawyers that are sitting behind him that did an excellent job, somebody's going to pay them. And so it's not going to come out of that $1. So I'm sure it's either a contingency, they either wrote into their contract, hey, whatever we win, we get a percentage of it, or Mr. Depp, even if it's 0 or $1, it's coming out of your pocket. So I'd be curious to see what they wrote in their contract. So it may be a moral victory, but it's going to put a hurting in someone's pocketbook if it wasn't a contingency basis. And those lawyers work very hard to get paid. So if it comes back $1, I don't think they're going to be very happy.
Let's get to the comments. Tons of them. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands, have come in response that quickly. So I'm going to try my very best to get to as many as I can. And if there is a legal sort of question in the form of your comment, we're going to ask it over here to Bryant. Colleen saying, hashtag HJB, it's a moral victory. It's not about the money for him, is the comment there from Colleen. Steve says, hashtag HJB, $1 is not a victory. He lost money. Bobby Sue, hashtag HeyJB. Even a $1 would suffice. It was never about the money, but she should pay something to someone, seeing how those poor kids never even got money. How about this one from Andy Michael, hashtag HeyJB. A $1 victory would basically be a hung jury in my eyes, is the words here of Andy. Do you see it? Do you see it that way, Bryant, that it's a hung jury if it's a $1 victory for Johnny Depp's team?
That's a good point. It could be that the jury felt so bad for her, they said, let's find her liable. It could be that half the jurors said, yes, she's liable. The other half said, no, she's not. We'll compromise. We'll find her liable, but we'll put in a very low amount to go easy on her. Because she does come across as a sympathetic person. Again, you can't take away from the fact that she may very well been a victim of domestic violence.
Bryant, I just the amount of comments. Now, let's make it clear that we have no insider knowledge that this is going to be a $1 victory for Johnny Depp. We are just trying to read tea leaves here, folks, and that's kind of what we're trying to gain a better understanding of what has transpired, given that it was such an unexpected development. We were supposed to be here. The time now is 3:13. Bryant and I were supposed to be here breaking down the fallout of a verdict. Here it is. It's 3:13. We don't have a verdict because, again, if you're just joining us, a lot of folks just finding us on their news feeds or perhaps finding us on YouTube Live, maybe you're just getting out of work, maybe you're just getting out of Burger King, wherever you're joining us from around the world, you haven't missed anything because the jury returned the verdict form to the judge who read and then, as Bryant noted, had that awkward sidebar moment before the jury verdict was read because there were incomplete sections of the form in the area where damages, the dollar amount for damages, was supposed to be listed. So here we are now on Verdict Watch 2, waiting for a verdict, in fact, from the jury definitively. Will it come down at 4 o'clock? Will it come down in the next 3 minutes? Everyone's filed back into the courtroom. I don't know. We'll take you here live for a second. Let's put down Andy's comment, and let's just show you a live feed from the courtroom. They're zoomed in on the Virginia state emblem, so we don't know who is remaining in the courtroom itself, if they're just going to hang out for an additional minute, if someone's just, are they looking for a pen, Bryant? I mean, did they just forget to write down that section of the verdict form? I mean, what could this be?
The fact that think about it now, Verdict Watch 2, they've been back there for what now, 5-10 minutes? That tells you something. You know, the hung jury comment, is the speculation. I love that. They're back there now debating how much should we reward this guy who's theoretically already a millionaire, and her pocketbook, when she may not be as rich and as opportunistic, or in terms of opportunities available to her as Johnny. So, you know, look, the fact that it's taking this long is more than just, you know, they lose a pen, and I love that little comment. I think they're debating it, and so it's been almost 10 minutes, and they're still debating that. Okay. So that's something said there.
We got a live feedback of the courtroom now.
Okay.
So there is some audio. Let's just be quiet for a second, Bryant, and we'll try to listen in. It's just some murmuring in the courthouse, but let's just listen in for a second. So no activity yet. But the fact that everyone is sticking around, Bryant, and the fact that the courtroom videographer has now pointed the camera back at the sitting courtroom is a good sign that we are closer to the actual verdict, the real verdict, being read aloud. And so if they're just sitting here waiting, we anticipate perhaps something relatively soon. It's not as if the legal teams and Miss Amber Heard is being sent back to wherever they've been staying nearby the courthouse. They're not leaving the courthouse property. They're staying in the courtroom, and this bodes well for a verdict soon, correct?
Well, you know, it's been my experience. Sometimes the judges send them back and tell us, don't leave, this should be quick. 2 hours later, we're still waiting. So it could be just her reading of it was that it shouldn't be that long, and here they are. So unless they were told we're almost done, you know, I'm surprised that they're not out by now.
Let me ask you this question, because again, I'm still just kind of a bit flabbergasted that we are here where we are. Is there any opportunity, is it legally allowed for the judge to go to the jury in the jury deliberation room and say something to the effect of, hey, is everything okay? Did something go wrong? I'm just checking up on you, Seven, to make sure everything is okay. Can they do sort of a check of the jury to gain a better understanding of why there were these empty sections of the verdict form returned?
No, the best that the judge could do is bring them all out in the presence of all, you know, both sides, both lawyers, and ask that question in front of everyone. Now, could she send a bailiff back in to make sure, hey, you guys okay? Can you roughly give us an idea how much longer you need? Do you need dinner, lunch, anything like that? But no, anything that's substantive. Here we
go. Bryant, the judge is coming back in. Let's listen in, folks.
All right. Shall we try this again? All right. Let's do that. All right. We're ready for the jury. All right, Mr. Foreperson, is this the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
All right, is it unanimous?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Jamie?
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false. Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, "We've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp," end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10.
Yes.
Juror number 15.
Yes.
Juror number 16.
Yes.
Juror number 22.
Yes.
Juror number 27.
Yes.
Juror number 29.
Yes.
I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial, and I know I speak for everybody here when I tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you. All right. Okay. In accordance with law, I will amend the punitive damages award to the statutory cap of $350,000 on Mr. Depp's award, okay? I will set this down for entry of an order, and can we do it on June 24th at 10 a.m. if that's available? All right,
Yes,
Mr. Chu, if you could prepare that order and then circulate it to Ms. Fretterhoff, and we can have all the objections noted on it. All right?
We'll do that, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, and if I get it before that date, I'll take it off the docket, okay? All right, again, thank you to all the attorneys for your professionalism, and you're welcome to come to my courtroom anytime. Well, give me a few weeks, but then you can come anytime, okay? All right, court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
A live look at Amber Heard exiting the courtroom. Elation on one side, disappointment on the other. Breaking news coverage coming your way, folks, on WFLA Now.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JV Biunno.
A resounding victory for Johnny Depp's legal team. Johnny Depp not in the courtroom, but celebrating somewhere. A victory for his entire staff of attorneys after a grueling, nearly 2-month trial, and also a trial that existed well before this in the court of public opinion, dating back many years to that Washington Post op-ed. The folks that have been hashtagging justice for Johnny Depp, they are celebrating everywhere. Hey there, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. Great to be joined once again by Bryant Camerano to kind of break this down. A lot of dollar figures thrown out. $15 million awarded for Johnny Depp's team, Bryant. Then the $2 million on some of the yeses that went in the way of Amber Heard. That breaks down to about $13 million. But then you just hear the cap of a $350,000 amount. We're still breaking all of this down, how the numbers are going to translate to really what is the final settlement between these two. But what do you, first, and we'll get into the numbers in just a second. What's your opinion of the verdict itself, Brian?
Well, it's funny, the actual malice, as I indicated, that's always the hardest part to prove in a libel, in a slander or defamation case. And again, this is how Sarah Palin lost her trial, was she didn't prove actual malice. So again, kudos to both sides for proving actual malice. It's one thing to give an opinion, but it's another to show that the animosity behind the opinion was intended to be malicious, was intended to hurt. So, kudos to both sides, but more kudos to the Johnny Depp team for getting that victory. So, the $10 million is a victory in and of itself. The statutory limit on the punitive damages, that'll change everything. But what's interesting is what most people fail to realize is Mr. Heard's team may appeal, and that's going to delay this process. It's going to cost more money. So, they may agree, the parties may agree to settle and say, look, in lieu of any appeal, let's agree to a dollar amount. So, but it's still a moral victory, and there's money behind that moral victory. So, but I hate to say it, I'm not no expert in that area, but I anticipated that we're going to find her liable.
All right, so we're still breaking down the numbers, but regardless of the final outcome when it comes to the dollar amount being exchanged, there were a lot of folks in our comment section. We're breaking out the calculators, folks. We're breaking all this down number-wise, and we're going to get that final number tally for you here in just a second. But when it comes to, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Well, we're trying to get you a live feed from outside the courthouse. Can we see if we can add that to our grid of feeds, if that's something that we can do? So there's a live feed from outside the courthouse. Apparently, it is madness outside this Fairfax County, Virginia courthouse. Just elation. People that have been camping out who are jumping for joy. Those who have been supporting Johnny Depp. Of course, those who have been in support of Amber Heard, not nearly as vocal. Our WFLA poll was extremely one-sided. 98% in favor of Johnny Depp, 2% in favor of Amber Heard. Speaking of polls, I want to get this to you here, folks. We want you to vote in the poll, asking you very simply, do you think the jury got it right? Do you agree with the verdict? Now in a pinned comment, and also too in the description on this video, there is a link, a URL. It's a simple one-click poll. It takes 5 or 6 seconds. You don't have to input your email. You don't have to put in your phone number or anything like that. But we want to be able to come back here in about 5-10 minutes time and be able to look at these poll results. So go vote in the poll. You won't miss anything. Go vote in the poll by clicking on the link in the description on this video. And then, of course, what we'll do is we'll come back with those poll results here in just a moment. Now let's get you live to outside the courthouse, where the attorneys for Johnny Depp are going to be getting rock star treatment. Look at the amount of people that are gathered by the exit to the courthouse. Now, very curious, Bryant, you have been on the winning side. I know you've been also on the non-winning side as well. What is this moment like when you know that you have to face the music, so to speak, when you exit the courthouse? Take me through it from a winning perspective, and then taking me through it from a losing perspective.
Well, from the winning perspective, since most of my cases deal with life or death, freedom versus liberty, liberty versus, imprisonment, it's a great feeling when you walk out that courtroom with a happy client. So, number one, even though Mr. Depp is not there, which is unusual, I think they're happy for their client, number one. Number two, I think the moral support of the community carries a lot of weight. It's going to carry them through the day, but you're only as good as your last victory. So tomorrow, could be it's another day tomorrow, right? So it's a great feeling for the moment, but the next trial may not be as victorious. So on the winning side, it's just great to have your client happy that he put his faith in you, he or she put his faith in you, and you guys won. On the losing side, it's real quick. most reporters ignore you. They want to interview the victorious side. So you quietly walk to your car, you say goodbye to the client's family who wasn't as victorious, and you promise them to hopefully come back on appeal. So it's a lot quieter, more discreet. You just simply walk away to your car, nobody knows you're gone, you're there, and nobody knows you left. So that's the difference. But again, it's unusual that Mr. Depp would not be there. I think that's his way of showing, look, I'm not going to rub this in her face. I got bigger fish to fry. Now listen, $10 million, that's nowhere near what I think he lost or anywhere near what he was suing for. I think Disney alone, I heard somewhere 60 million was a number, but that may be an exaggeration. So $10 million is a lot of money, but again, by the time you get into attorney's fees and costs, I don't know how much is going to be left for him. So I don't know if he's going to be too happy about the dollar amount, but but it is what it is.
Very interested to hear, the world interested to hear about Johnny Depp, his reaction. Also, too, not entirely sure where Johnny is, where he's watching, who he's talking to, and to Bryant's point, whether or not this is a small victory, a medium victory, a resounding victory in his mind, given the fallout after that op-ed was posted and the amount of opportunities that were once open to him became closed doors in the aftermath of that op-ed getting published. So we're going to stay here with you live, Bryant, very mindful of your time. If you have to get going, totally understand. You're a busy guy. How much longer do you have with us on stream as we await the attorneys making their exit from the courthouse here?
5 to 10 more minutes, that's fine.
Okay, so we got 10 more minutes with Bryant Camerino, folks. We'll continue to take your questions and comments out of the Facebook Live comment section, but I really want to hear from as many people as possible. The more people that we have voting in our interactive poll, the better idea we have if you think that the jury got it right. So again, I'm just going to push this one more time. It's our one-click, simple, no sign-up, no email, no phone number. It takes 5 seconds, a quick poll by clicking in the link on the description on this video or in the pinned comment below to ask you, do you agree with the jury's verdict? You'll see the poll when you click on the link, and then you can come right back over here. Bryant, what do you make of the fact that there were some yeses for as far as a victory for Amber Heard's team?
Yeah, again, it looks like that may have been the hang-up. 0 punitive damages. I think they felt bad for her to some extent, not as bad as they felt for Mr. Depp. And $2 million, that's a low price tag, if you will. I just think they didn't feel as bad for her. So I think, again, maybe the hung jury, they split the baby. But I will say one thing, though. As far as Mr. Depp, before I forget, his PR team needs to get out there and say, look, all those were lies. That job I lost at Disney, that job I lost for making that other film were based on lies. So if I was his PR, I would go out there and this moral victory would be, look, you can hire me because all those lies were not true. And now you can put me back on your A-list, if you will. That's what I would do if I was Johnny Depp and his PR team, is take advantage of this. Forget the money, because again, that money would be eaten up between attorney's fees, a third attorney's fees plus costs. What's left is, probably spent on wine, because I heard he was a big wine connoisseur. But nonetheless, I would spend it on getting my PR team to get me out there again and show that, look, I'm not that guy that, that lost all these roles because of the lies that were made against me. So I think that is the bigger victory for Mr. Depp. Here's
another thing. The $13 million question. Does Amber Heard just have $13 million laying around to award to her ex-husband? That's a lot of money. And also, too, so now if you're representing Amber Heard, putting yourself, Bryant, in their shoes as far as their attorneys, knowing, I would imagine that you would have a pretty good grasp on your client's finances, knowing now that the amount is roughly, an estimation, $13 million was the inevitable settlement that the jury ruled on. What happens if Amber Heard just doesn't have that amount of money to just fork over to Johnny Depp?
See, that's the problem. And again, if I were her lawyers, I would suggest appealing. It may cost Ms. Heard more money. Otherwise, she would have to file bankruptcy. And depending on what state she lives in, that bankruptcy would protect her from any outstanding debts, including any liability. So that's the sad part. If she doesn't have that money, she's going to have to declare some sort of bankruptcy, some sort of relief to prevent that money from being paid out.
Man, I'll tell you what, looking here at some of the comments, it's very, very interesting just reading. There are some people who are saying in our comment section that they cried when they heard all of those yeses repeatedly over and over again. Brian, you can speak to this. Being involved in a trial, whether you're a lawyer, whether or not you're a plaintiff, whether or not you're a defendant, or if you're just somebody out there watching the trial, a member of the public, you can develop real emotional ties to a court case, and you want to see justice served. I can assure you that from doing trial coverage these last, the last couple of weeks, and talking about this as much as I have, and talking to the experts, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who might have jumped for joy in this moment. Talk to me about really the emotions of this. And clearly, if you want an idea as to what the emotions are like, just look at the amount of people, too, that are lined up outside this courthouse awaiting the attorneys coming out. They're not even here to see Johnny. It's pretty much clearly evident now that Johnny was not present in the courtroom. He's not in Fairfax County, Virginia. So these people are just lining up just to show their appreciation. You can see the Team Johnny sign there of people just wanting to show their appreciation for the attorneys who represented Johnny Depp. Talk to me about the emotions that really run behind this for people around the world.
Well, I've had my share of trials that have been on court TV and some of these other excerpts on some of these other reality crime shows, and people do get invested. I've had audience members write me. I've had jurors write me, email me, call me, and say one way or another that they were happy with the verdict, or they felt they were pressured. People get emotionally invested because, again, you see a slice of life that maybe you don't normally see, but not just that. You see them over and over and over again on TV, and you sympathize with some of the time, with these people. So the emotional aspect, that's just to show you how human we are. We're all human, and whether you're Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, or just some poor guy who's on trial for murder, some audience members, there's many spectators who just watch court trials. They come up to me, they wish me luck, and they watch, and then when it's a verdict that doesn't necessarily go my way, they feel bad. And I get letters to this day. What can I do to help? Can I help with the appeal? And most times it's too late. There's nothing you can do. It's just, we're human, and we love to watch, I guess not in a bad sense, but we're not voyeurs. We get to see other people, how they live, especially the rich and famous. But more than that, it's the fact that we get emotionally invested. Some people, I'm sure, were emotionally invested in Ms. Heard. I felt bad for Ms. Heard in many instances. But I've learned, because I'm a lawyer, just like I'm sure a medical doctor, you cut that emotion off because then you can't focus on your job. So it's only natural that people would be this supportive, as you see out there now, standing out there, just to show their support for the lawyers. You did a great job defending someone that we like. So that's not uncommon at all.
There is a statement that has been put out by Amber Heard's legal team, or her PR team, or Amber Heard herself. I'm not sure. I can't say for certain who writes the words of these statements when they come out in the immediate aftermath of a monumental decision like this. But I'm going to read this as you can see that the officers now are starting to clear the way. I think that some of the representatives from the courthouse are going to be starting to make their exit here. And for those of you, and let me bring you back in, Brian, just to make this very obvious and evident to our viewers, the jury isn't making their exit through this exit. They're going to be going through a separate exit, correct?
Correct, because you never know with the jurors. They have the right to be anonymous, and they want to be left alone. And you never know, you may have a spectator that can hold a grudge. So no, they're going to be separated from the rest.
So we'll watch here as the attorneys for each side come out, and as soon as we do, we'll mute our microphones and we'll go there to you live. But here is the statement from Amber Heard, quote unquote, beginning here, quote, "The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I am heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when A woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously. I believe Johnny's attorneys succeeded in getting the jury to overlook the key issue of freedom of speech and ignore evidence that was so conclusive that we won in the UK. I'm sad I lost this case, but I am sadder still that I seem to have lost a right that I thought I had as an American to speak freely and openly. End quote from Amber Heard. A very strong-worded statement here saying that this isn't just a loss for her, but it's a loss for women, and that it's also a loss as far as the right to be able to express yourself in this country. Bryant, your reaction to this, before we let you go, because I know you have to get going, your reaction to this statement, and two, I want to then follow up with that, the chances now, based on this statement, that we're getting an appeal in this case.
Well, listen, I represent victims in domestic violence injunctions nearly every day, and there's something to be said about the idea that we need to not let this overlook the importance of believing victims of domestic violence. And so, absolutely, she's right in that respect. But separating that from the evidence that she talks about, I disagree. So, number one, let's not forget that there truly are victims out there that need our support, male, female, you name it. They need our support. You have to take that extra mile for them in domestic violence injunction court. That's number one. Number two is, though, as far as the appeal process that you mentioned, again, she can't appeal. And does she have the money and the resources? I don't know. But I would, if I was her lawyer, I'd say, listen, this dollar amount is wrong, or let's appeal and force the other side to settle to something less than the 10 plus the punitive damages. So the statement was, I think, well-intentioned, but the amount of evidence, it was not there. The jury clearly spoke to that.
Bryant Camarena of Camarena Law, right here in Tampa Bay, folks. Bryant, before we let you go, as always, floor is yours to just to share any final thoughts before we let you get back to your day.
Listen, it's important. Domestic violence is real. Domestic violence is serious. It cannot be overlooked. Okay, we cannot let this one case overlook the thousands, if not more, of real-life domestic violence cases. So this is a victory for Mr. Depp. Let's move on and focus on the real, victims that are out there. Okay, and so let's not forget those victims. Let's not compare her to Amber Heard, and give them the voice that they need. And then hopefully there'll be justice for the other victims of domestic violence.
Bryant Camarena on WFLA Now. Thanks so much for joining us, Bryant.
You got it, guys. Anytime you need me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Back here with you live, folks, on WFLA Now, awaiting the two sides of a very different coin here in Fairfax County, Virginia. You have the winning side. That is Johnny Depp's team. Johnny Depp not present for the verdict being read. And really, you got to wonder how he's feeling, given the amount of money that he was awarded. Bryant, wondering there aloud, did he really believe that he was entitled to that $50 million amount? When you look at it, he's getting about a quarter of that. So, roughly about a quarter of that. So is the fact that he was vindicated in the public's view over the course of this trial, and the fact that a jury of peers saw it the same way, is that enough for Johnny Depp? Or does he see it as, wow, we only got a quarter of the way that we really thought that we were, as far as the amount that we were entitled to, we thought we were entitled to, we only got a quarter of the way there. Is that a disappointment? If you judge it based on their team, the effort that was put in, and then the subsequent reaction there in the courtroom by Camille Vasquez, the entire team, Mr. Chu, the entire team, they see this as a big victory. The hugs, you could also get a feeling of a sense of relief in the courtroom as well, that this is over. It's over, but it's not. There's likely going to be some appeal or some follow-up process that has to be carried out. However, $13 million isn't $1. Got to remember, rewind to about, was it 45 minutes, an hour ago? We were talking about the incorrect verdict form being brought in front of the judge, or an incorrect, there was the error, the missing portions of the verdict form. As if this trial didn't have enough, you have that. those two empty portions of the verdict form that did not get filled out. So then the public at large, including us, just immediately went to, okay, they didn't fill it out. Did they meant to put 0? Is it going to be a $1 victory for Johnny Depp? And it turned out to be anything but. It turned out to be $15 million total in damages awarded for Johnny Depp, then the $2 million in damages awarded to Amber Heard, leading to roughly $13 million when it's all said and done as far as the amount of damages that is going from ex-wife to ex-husband. Let's get to some of the comments. We're going to wait for, as soon as we have the attorneys coming out of the courthouse here, what's going to happen is you're going to hear the loud reaction for each side. And then what you'll also have as well, I've seen a podium set up, so I believe that they are going to have the post-trial press conference, which really has become an unofficial tradition in American law to have a press conference in the aftermath of a monumental trial. So we're probably going to have that press conference. So if you're looking to hear more from Fairfax County, Virginia, don't go anywhere. That's likely, in all likelihood, coming up. You know that the Johnny Depp legal team is going to want to have their moment of elation and public appreciation, considering how many people rallied behind their side. Let's see here. Looking through now some of the new comments. I'm going to start to now pay attention to the Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section. Let's start over there on YouTube and say hello to the folks joining us. Everybody on YouTube Live. Yeah, click on the link in the comment section. You should find our poll. One-click poll. Do you agree with the jury's verdict? Somebody said that it doesn't work internationally. I believe that we also have some limitations with voting in our poll. And a big thank you to, I'm also seeing that we have some moderators in the chat helping keep things welcoming and friendly in our comment section on YouTube. Really big shout out to our YouTube Live moderators. All right, let's look here, and I see, I'm looking for hashtag HeyJB comments. Lauren says in our comment section, hashtag HeyJB, the goal was always just to reveal the truth. Johnny has released a statement as well via Facebook. Yeah, let's get to Johnny's statement. Let's read it, and it just came in. Came in a minute after Amber Heard's statement. How about that? All right, so here's the statement from Johnny Depp, and thank you to the commenter who pointed this out. And it reads as follows. 6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious, and criminal allegations were levied at me via the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content, although no charges were ever brought against me. It had already traveled around the world twice within a nanosecond, and it had a seismic impact on my life and my career. And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this case, knowing very well the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life, was only made after considerable thought. From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth regardless of the outcome. Speaking the truth was something that I owed to my children and to all those who have remained steadfast in their support of me. I feel at peace knowing I have finally accomplished that. I am and have been overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and colossal support and kindness from around the world. I hope that my quest to have the truth be told, we're having some folks, we will continue reading the statement, some exits from the courthouse in Fairfax County, Virginia.
Hi, everyone. Today's verdict confirms what we have said from the beginning, that the claims against Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence. We are grateful, so grateful to the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Our judicial system is predicated on each person's right to have his or her case heard, and we were honored, truly honored, to assist Mr. Depp in ensuring that his case was fairly considered throughout the trial. We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the jury has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much.
Have you spoken to Johnny? How is he feeling? How's Johnny feeling? Will Johnny and Amber ever speak to each other again? Is this the end of the matter? Miss Vasquez, will there be any more legal action? Is Mr. Johnny Depp going to run for office?
A short statement from Johnny Depp's legal team, echoing really, exactly what Bryant said. Turning the page, it has been a circus of a trial. We've been talking about some really bizarre subjects. But as many of the bizarre subjects that we've been talking about as well, we've also been talking about some extremely serious subjects as well. We've been really hyper-focused on a relationship that had allegations of domestic abuse, serious allegations of domestic abuse. The themes of alcoholism and drug use were on full display during this trial. So turning the page now is something that you're going to hear from a lot of people, and carrying the spirit behind really what made this such a popular cause with people around the world as far as supporting Johnny Depp, channeling that effort and channeling that energy and putting it into having real conversations about domestic abuse, about problems that families deal with as far as alcoholism, about drug use. This is something that you're going to really hear a lot about. We echo it here as well, and you're going to hear various experts, and really no matter what live stream I think you go to now, there's just going to be this call for people, as much as you've been really focusing in on some of the oddities of this trial, really at the heart of it was this sense of relatability that so many people around the world have to problems when it comes to domestic abuse or being falsely accused of an action involving domestic abuse, as far as struggles and painful struggles, sometimes years or decades long struggles with alcoholism or drug abuse. So there's a lot of serious topics at play here, and hopefully if there is a seriously positive result other than the money that is being exchanged here and the court of public opinion that has formed in your view in the favor, of course, of Johnny Depp, maybe it's that more people can have a little bit more of just some additional courage when it comes to having very necessary conversations on those very serious themes that were ever present during this trial. We'll stay here with you live. I don't imagine that we are going to have, well, I don't know. I'll keep an eye on the internet. The internet does a really good job of keeping you informed as to what is going to happen, but we do have the winning side stepping up to the podium. Will the, yes. Oh, the back door. Interesting. Okay. Yep, I got it. All right, so here's a playback of some video from earlier. This is a playback of video from earlier just happening now. So the exit of Amber Heard from the courthouse, as well as her legal team as well, using the other exit, not the front exit to the building, but a rear or side exit to the building, not going up to the podium, choosing not to speak. And look, I've seen trials that have been as large as this one, as far as scope and size. This one has clearly attracted an eclectic audience online. However, we've covered trials, serious trials, where the losing side will still come up to the podium because of the effort. You know, they will say, hey, look, we're launching an appeal, or hey, we think that the conversation needs to be, turned in this direction. We believe that the focus now needs to be here on healing, or on conversations, whether it's conversations about race or whether it's conversations politically. There's a lot that can happen in the aftermath of a trial when the losing side comes out, because there can sometimes be a call to action. No such thing in this particular instance. You have the victorious side coming out the front of the building, speaking publicly, the losing side going out the rear exit and not speaking publicly. I think it tells you a lot about the outcome of the trial and how it was received by each side. Folks, we're going to start to wrap up here in a little bit. We're not going anywhere just yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to start to feature some of your comments out of the Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section. I've been trying to get to your comments for as long as I have, but I got to finish reading the Johnny Depp statement. It is twice as long, or maybe 3 times as long, as the Amber Heard statement. So here it is. I just would like to complete it, considering the magnitude of the moment here. My decision to pursue this case, knowing very well the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life, was only made after considerable thought. From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth regardless of the outcome. Speaking the truth was something that I owed to my children and to all those who have remained steadfast in their support of me. I feel at peace knowing I have finally accomplished that. I am, and have been, overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and colossal support and kindness from around the world. I hope that my quest to have the truth be told will have helped others, men or women, who have found themselves in my situation, and that those supporting them never give up. I also hope that the position will now return to innocent until proven guilty, both within the courts and in the media. I wish to acknowledge the noble work of the judge, the jurors, the court staff, and the sheriffs who have sacrificed their own time to get to this point, and to my diligent and unwavering legal team who did an extraordinary job in helping me to share the truth. The best is yet to come, and a new chapter has finally begun, is the statement from Johnny Depp. A new chapter. That's very interesting. But we talked about this on stream as well. The chapter now for Johnny Depp is, we have some, okay, so now they're playing back some different moments of video on our NBC feed. This is, again, from NBC. So let's just kind of listen here for this moment. This was the moment that they learned of the verdict. So again, playing back some of the video of that moment when it was received, the jury ruling largely in favor of Johnny Depp. In the end, $13 million in damages going from one side to the other, short of the $50 million. But based on Johnny's reaction in the form of the statement that was released, clearly a victory in more ways than one, financial and, of course, moral, and in the court of public opinion, being able to begin a new chapter of his life. Listening in here. Loud cries in support of Johnny Depp and the verdict being read by that 7-person jury, who it took approximately, it was day 3 of deliberations when they reached their verdict. Okay, finally now let's get to some comments. I've been putting this off for long enough, not intentionally, just trying to get to all of the minutia that is important from a reporting standpoint. So let's and you know, Sarah's asking in our comment section, what are people waiting for? This is no longer live. This is a feedback now. This is just raw video. This is how it works as far as the live channels that we get access to. They're now feeding back some of the video that we didn't receive earlier. All eyes were on the courtroom itself. So this is some of the video that came through, that is now coming through from the response exterior to the courthouse. Dina's Homespun Fun on YouTube, hashtag AJB. I think that the money could have been more, but I also think his reputation was saved and his popularity has grown, so the job offers will now come, I hope. I think that there's perhaps an opportunity now, if Johnny chooses to re-engage his acting career on a grand scale. For Amber Heard, the amount of doors that are now going to be closed, and not closed publicly, but closed privately, is going to be considerable, you would imagine, given the outcome of this case. Looking for other. Right, Adrian, hashtag AJB, the $5 million in punitive damages awarded to Depp are legally capped at $350K. So he won $10 million, right, in his own defamation claim, $10 million for lost earnings, and $350K in punitive. And right, and I remember from when, I think it was pre-trial when that amount was set, that the punitive damages were going to be capped at $350K. So $13 million is the headline that you will see, but in the actual payout, the jury determining that it was $13 million in the end, when you of course subtract 2 from 15. But yes, when the final dollar numbers are set by the court, it will be just over $10 million. That's how I understand it as well. But listen, the jury's view of it being a $13 million win is really the headline I think that most are going to carry, because it's the one that the jury inevitably thought was the outcome that should have been reached, regardless of the rules that were put forth. Here's some more video of the exit of Camille Vasquez and the rest of the legal team. Let's listen in.
Great job, guys. Good job.
This was after their press conference, I believe, after they made their statements at the podium. So again, just some of the raw video now that is coming back. This is what we do on live stream, folks. Looking at some other comments, you know, I think it's Mr. YouTube in our comment section saying justice for the real victims, celebrating how this hopefully will put a spotlight on the real victims out there. That's how I read that comment. Hashtag him too is asking me, hashtag HJB, what about his legal costs? Look, the legal costs are going to be considerable. And yes, are they going to eat into that $10+ million? But listen, at the end of the day, Johnny Depp now can really begin receiving significant offers from Hollywood studios. And really, I mean, with the amount of opportunities that exist now for actors and actresses in the form of Netflix and Hulu and HBO and Apple TV and Paramount Plus, all of these streaming services, Amazon Prime, all of these streaming services that pop up out of nowhere, it feels like. There's endless appetite for content as it feels right now. And so if Johnny Depp wants to work in the world of media again, believe me, based on the outcome of this trial and based on the outcome of the court of public opinion, he's going to get the opportunity to do so. Whether or not Amber Heard ever gets to work again on a significant project, that remains to be seen. I think that it would take quite the olive branch to give Amber Heard a large scale opportunity given the outcome of this trial. But you know what? Time is an interesting thing. If 5 years pass and she gets a role in a supporting role in a Hollywood film, is that going to tank that picture? Are people going to not see it maybe 5 years or so from now because Amber Heard has a small part to play in a movie? I don't know. That's up for you guys to decide. You know, ADX Pitts, hashtag AJB, is Amber Heard barred to write future tell-all books? I don't think so. I believe that you still have the right to tell your story. And look, if Amber Heard wants to do an interview and there's going to be media opportunities where someone is going to offer money to achieve that interview. I don't know what media organization would actually pay for that interview. Can't say. But listen, Amber Heard is going to explore now all of her financial options to find $10+ million to pay after losing this. Now, listen, appeals still have to be, and there's the potential for an appeal that cannot be understated. However, it's really important to note that Amber Heard's got to make some money now. I think that based on everything that we've heard in media reports, that her having just all that money just sitting around just to give to her ex-husband, I don't think that that's something that is just kind of laying around in her bank account, given of course her unfulfilled pledge that we have of course talked about at great length. Lil Patty, hashtag KJB, saying, I got a feeling this is going to end up as a movie. I think that didn't I see reports that they're already working on a documentary? And I would imagine too that time is of the essence. There will be a documentary probably very soon on Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Hulu, Netflix. Just take your pick. The endless. If you haven't heard by now, I'm a little. There's just too many services out there that are trying to get my money for great content, and nobody can afford every one of them. Come on, maybe Johnny Depp can now. But as far as, like Apple TV and Netflix and Hulu and HBO and Showtime Anytime and Stars and Paramount Plus and all of these services, my goodness, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, take your pick, you guys. It's just too much. Roman Bellick, please shout me out. Yeah, shout outs for everybody. Elliot, Crystal E, Brooks Sopko, a lot of folks joining us in our comment section. But if you want to really get my attention, use hashtag KJB. People who are commenting about her worth in our Facebook Live comment section. Yeah, I understand. But when it comes to actually forking over cash, it's just a little bit of a different beast. So how much she can actually pay now and how much she's going to be able to pay in time and the financial opportunities that are going to be available to her in the future to be able to make payments, really, if you will, on the ruling of this trial, that just kind of remains to be seen. Let's get to Pamela Hoffman's comment. Oh, we have an interview taking place outside the courthouse. Let's listen in.
So when you answer them, if you could answer them in like a complete sentence, kind of including my question,
Gotcha.
that would be really
This is NBC News doing an interview with folks outside the courthouse.
questions they had for you. And then I will hold this for you, so don't worry about that. And if you could just do me a favor, easy question first. Say and spell your name for me and where you're from.
It's Gia Andriani, Giaandreani, and I'm from Springfield, Virginia.
So how long is that trip?
20 minutes?
So quick
Yeah.
trip. Okay, great. So who were you here to support?
Johnny Depp.
And why were you here to support him?
Well, I was born in 78, so I grew up in like Depp heartthrob era, you know, when they used to sell the teen mags with the posters inside, and I had the posters on the wall, and then I just kind of like grew with him as far as like, you know, as I grew up, I started to appreciate his actual acting. And then, you know, like Sweeney Todd, realizing, my God, this man can sing. His voice, like he's so talented in so many different ways, you know, and his movies with Tim Burton, and seeing how he can just play all these amazing characters, and, you know, just growing with the actor.
So given your support for Johnny Depp, why was it important for you to come out here? And remember, they can't hear my
Right.
question.
So being myself a survivor of domestic abuse, and then, you know, looking at someone like Johnny Depp, who's rich and famous, he's still human at the end of the day. And being able to like relate to having been, you know, with a narcissist or in a situation with manipulation, and my heart just went out to him, you know, not just because he's a good actor and a fan, but because I could relate to the pain that I assumed he had been going through for the last 6 years.
And again, they are not going to hear my questions, but sorry, I just want to make sure these people are clear. How many days, how long have you been coming to the courthouse?
I've been coming since it started. When I found out it was going to be in Fairfax, I have been coming probably 2 to 3 times a week. When it started to get a lot crazier, I just would only come in the morning, say hi to him before he pulled in for court, and that was it. And
Back here with you live as we hear, again, we'll try to take you back to the courthouse if we can, if we have time. Maria Ramirez in our comment section, #KJB, what was the $350,000 that the judge spoke of? Tracy Champagne, #KJB, didn't the judge at the end say that the max was $350K? You might remember our stream with Peter Tragos, attorney here as well in the Tampa Bay area. The compensatory damages didn't have, I think the cap was like $1 trillion or something like that. But punitive damages were capped at $350,000. So when the jury awards $5 million in punitive damages to Depp, there's a hard cap on $350K. So the actual amount that Johnny Depp is entitled to, even though he won, he technically did win $13 million in damages. What he's actually going to be paid, really in time, if, you know, and really the story of how that money is going to transfer from one party to another is a whole separate, you know, matter entirely, because of, you know, we don't know the situation with Amber Heard's finances. However, $350,000 was the cap on the punitive damages on the $5 million. So Johnny Depp is, when it's all said and done, as far as the final dollar figure that he is awarded in the case, he won $13 million, but he is to be awarded $10,350,000. Hopefully that makes sense after being able to clarify some of my notes and clarify some of the conflicting reports that were out there. Hey, Livia, I'm really glad that you brought this up. Let's get to our poll and see if we can bring this onto our screen. So this is now, hopefully you guys can see this. Can I bring up my computer screen? Maybe we can do this. Yeah, this is my computer screen. Let's go full screen so you guys can see it. Oh, nope. Stand by. There we go. And hopefully we can show this to you a little bit better than this. Hold on, let's fix that. There we go. Okay, so here you see it. Do you agree with the jury's verdict in the Depp versus Heard trial? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give everybody another 60 seconds to vote in this poll so we can get the vote count up as high as possible. Do you agree with the jury's verdict? Now, listen, you can say no. You can say no because you can agree that the jury's verdict was just in favoring Johnny Depp, but thinking that he should have gotten the $50 million. I mean, should the poll have been a little bit more carefully articulated? Yeah, but we crafted this 3 hours ago before a verdict was read. So really, it's a blanket yes or no poll. Do you agree with the jury's verdict? You can click on the link in the description on our video. It'll take you over to right here. You're looking at it, folks, as far as our website, and you can get easy one-click access to voting in the poll. So we'll give everybody another 60 or so seconds, and then we will we'll hit the results button here. I want to get as many votes tabulated as possible. If you're joining us internationally, I'm really sorry that we don't have we don't have access. You know what though? Actually, you know what? Hold on a second. I think I can give everybody a shortcut to the poll. I think. Wait, I just realized. Hold on. International audience, okay? I'd like to help you guys out because I know that there's a huge audience joining us from the UK. Hello to everybody joining us from the UK. Folks in Australia. We've had some folks joining us from South America as well. And I think I'm going to put a link in our comment section and call it Straw Poll. And it should give you direct access. Straw Poll. And that you should be able to vote in. Let's do it over there on Facebook Live as well. Okay, straw poll. And this is direct access to the poll itself. That way that I think that our international audience should be able to vote in the poll. I want to make sure that as many voices are heard when it comes to this. And I want to just get a better idea as to whether or not you guys are feeling yes or no on the response to the verdict. So let's get you now back to the results. I think everyone's now been given time. If you are joining us internationally on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, in the comment section, I just put a link to the straw poll. I think that does have international access. Can you guys tell me in our comment section before we reveal the results? Did that work? Yay! Okay, it worked. Look at that. Teamwork makes the stream work. Okay, so now that everybody has an opportunity, no matter where you're joining us from, US or internationally, you can vote in that poll and we can look here at the live results. So let's do that in about 10 seconds. And here it is. Okay, so here is a look at the poll. Actually, we can make this bigger, right, you guys? I think we can do a little better than this. Yeah, there we go. How about that? Do you agree with the jury's verdict in Depp v. Heard? And I think we're going to see the live results get tabulated here. And look at that. We're about to eclipse. No, we already have eclipsed 2,000 votes. 2,048, 49, 52. So votes are still coming in. But this looks very similar to our poll that we ran on Friday and Tuesday, does it not? Do you agree with the jury's verdict? 97% saying yes. That is a resounding, overwhelming yes in favor of the jury getting it right. There's a sense of fulfillment that comes into play with a court case like this when so many people are watching, when the court of public opinion matches a court of law, when jurors in the courtroom match the public jurors that watch a particular trial from whether it's elsewhere in the country or around the world. There's just that sense of fulfillment, that sense of satisfaction that eventually sits in, that will hit you because you're looking at the system working. You're looking at a jury of your peers seeing it the same way as you do. Because if 7 jurors didn't see it the same way that 97, 98% of you did, then you feel like that there's something broken or you feel like there's something that's not working. And that's just overwhelmingly frustrating, especially when you consider how many emotional ties existed between the public and between Johnny Depp, between Amber Heard. I think mostly, of course, positive in favor of Johnny, very negative in favor of Amber Heard based on our poll numbers. So there's that fulfillment and that satisfaction that sets in. And so I'm sure that that folks are just, again, when I heard earlier that people said that they were crying when the yeses were being read, I think that really does speak to just how many people were emotionally invested in this case and relieved to hear that the court of public opinion was in line with the court of law in Fairfax County, Virginia. Folks, we're going to get going. This is going to do it for us here, everybody, at WFLA Now. We really appreciate joining. Wherever you're joining from, we really appreciate you joining. We have additional coverage, of course, on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We're also streaming on several of our sister stations' websites and applications. So depending on wherever you're watching from, you can click on the link in the description of this video, and it'll take you over to more, I'm sure, statements and money breakdown, reaction, not just inside the courtroom, but outside of the courtroom. There's so much more that people are going to want to know about the aftermath now. Will there be an appeal? Does Johnny Depp's career get resurrected? Is there even the hint of a chance that he returns as Jack Sparrow in a future Pirates of the Caribbean movie? Is Amber Heard ever going to be able to return to Hollywood, to a Hollywood set? Will she be able to pay off the amount of money that the jury awarded in this case, and which was eventually, levied down to $10.35 million? Is that money going to ever make it to Johnny Depp? All these questions are going to be answered in time, and we of course look to have coverage for you to answer these questions and all of the reporting, the subsequent reporting that is going to be coming out on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, as well as on our Nexstar sister stations websites, wherever you happen to be watching from. I'm JB Biunno, folks. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I might do something on Instagram in a little bit. It depends on how busy we are in our newsroom now. And also, too, I'm going to start to do some work on TikTok. You can follow me at WFLAJB on all of those accounts. Really appreciate you joining us wherever you were joining us from. We'll have, of course, more breaking news coverage on the WFLA Facebook page, as well as on the WFLA YouTube page and all of the social media accounts that I just mentioned a short time ago. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on WFLA Now.